We're back.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Hey guys,
It's been 4 months
since the last tier list.
Yeah, so we thought we could use some more subscribers.
Yeah,
So
subscribers weren't adding up fast enough, so we had to go back to our money hungry roots.
back to the well.
Yeah,
Back to the
mine.
selling out.
Exactly. So if this is your first tier list video you're watching, what we're doing, the format is essentially we're gonna rank all of the Dimir commanders on a S to F tier rating, and I think in general the way this works is we don't have any very specific criteria for where the commander for how we rank them, but it's some sort of conglomeration of the best deck, the average deck, the worst deck of what the commander can do, taking into account.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, take into account a little bit of CDH stuff, but like not entirely, because we're taking it. It's not from a CDH standpoint, but
And this is keeping in mind that these really just are our own opinions.
Mm-hmm.
However objectively correct they might be.
Of course.
But no, yeah, and another thing I wanted to say, because we've done these in the past, and we get a lot of comments, and that's good. And I think the cool thing about a tier list thing is that it invites a lot of discussion and a lot of healthy disagreement. But I just want to clarify, just because we put something in a lower tier, that's not saying I don't believe you can make a good deck with it. I'm just saying this is comparing the specific commanders and how we feel how strong they might be compared to the other Dimir commanders.
Like, you can make a good commander deck based on a D or an F tier commander. Like, I don't doubt that, and I believe that many of you in the comments have done so.
Yeah, like I, for instance, have a Kresh the Bloodbraided deck, but I feel like in the year 2022, he's probably at best a C tier commander.
Yeah.
So it's a good deck, though.
Yeah, just that's how it goes. One last thing is that these tier lists are in relation to each other, and they're independent of the other tier lists. So what I mean by that is that an S tier commander for Dimir might not necessarily go up against an S tier commander for Boros or Azorius. They're independent. I think after we're done with all 10 commanders, you might do a list of all the S tier commanders of every color together to see how
that
they
could be fun.
rank up, but just keep that in mind. So all colors are not created equal in this sense.
Yeah, so let's get into it. What do you say?
Yeah, and also we going in alphabetical order, and when we talk about the commanders, I will put them in S tier, but we discuss them.
Now, I want to say, before going into this first one, we've really done ourselves a disservice in waiting 4 months to do this, because we probably tacked on like an extra 10 commanders from
Yeah,
that waiting.
because, yeah.
We should have done it sooner.
If we did it sooner, it'd be easier.
Because I think, we have 49?
Yep, there's 49 Dimir commanders. Oh, and also, we will not be taking into account the partner pairings, only the partners, or partner that is Dimir, and only in the context of it with other Dimir-colored, blue or black partners. So just in the context of a Dimir deck.
Yeah, so buckle in.
We're about to get started with Anowon, the Rune Thief.
Yeah, he's a 4-mana 2/4. Other rogues you control get +1/+1. Whenever one or more rogues you control deal combat damage to a player, that player mills a card for each 1 damage dealt to them. If the player mills at least 1 creature card this way, you draw a card. We've seen this. We had a friend that bought this pre-con and played it straight out of the box. Anowon's just really good, like pretty solid, good rogue commander.
Yeah, I was surprised by the pre-con for this deck was able to hold its own and take game actions in, games versus decks that are, for all they're worth, better decks. So I'm pretty impressed. It's one of the better pre-con decks in my opinion.
Yeah, tried and true to kind of idea of the 4-mana commander that draws you cards whenever X draw a card.
Yeah, and this also, is a tribal commander. Eli, you and I are, full disclosure, not the biggest tribal fans. But, this is card advantage and an anthem on tribes, which is, kind of valuable. It's hard to put this in a category right now because we have nothing to compare it against, because this is the first one. But I think, actually, the interesting thing about Dimir in general is that I think a lot of the Dimir commanders, at least until recently, have actually been not that great. Like there's like, it's kind of like bottom heavy. There's some good ones, but I think a lot of them aren't really super powerful. So I think I want to put this like in like C or B tier. I'm not sure where though.
I'm thinking like a B.
Sure, and we can change things for now, but it's hard to put a commander that, you know, draws cards for 4 mana lower than a B.
Yeah.
Like, that's just...
That's a baseline good card.
Yeah. And we're going to try to go a little bit faster today than we usually do because, you know, we got to get through everything.
49.
And maybe only spend more time on the commanders that we have a little bit more to say about. Speaking of commanders we have more to say about, this is an interesting one up next. This is Araumi of the Dead Tide, sorry. This is a 3 mana 1/4 that says tap, exile cards in your graveyard equal to the number of opponents you have. Target creature card in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn, and Encore equal to its mana cost. A little bit story about this. This was the commander that I played in my Commander Legends draft that we did a long time ago when that came out, Eli.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
And this was a very fun commander in that format. You know, when you don't even when you don't have like good cards to Encore, and then when you start, you know, playing more powerful things to Encore, like in a commander setting, like for example Grey Merchant or Kokusho or something like that, it gets a lot more powerful, and I think this is one of the better ones.
Yeah, Encore is a very strong ability, scales very well with multiplayer, and yeah, for an uncommon, this is just really strong. I feel like this is an A tier.
I feel the same thing. Yeah, I think A tier is
low mana cost, very strong ability, lots of value and synergy.
The only problem with Araumi, I think, is that it is a little bit of a mana investment that you have to do because I mean, you have to cast the spell essentially from your graveyard. You do get 3 triggers of whatever its ETB or its death triggers or attack triggers or whatever.
Yeah, there's some setup. You need the mana and you also need the amount of cards to exile for the ability.
Yeah, and unless you can put the card in your graveyard, like for free or on an end step or something, it is a little bit telegraphed because players will see you have a Kokusho in your graveyard and they will probably figure out if I'm at 15 or less life, I'm going to die, so I got to kill your commander, something like that. But very solid A tier for now, I think.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths. It's a 4 mana, 3/2 menace. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So kind of like a little weird fact or fiction kind of deal.
Except you don't know what they are. I've had some fun interactions with this card. You'd be like in like limited or even in like a commander game, and you're like, I'll put the face down 1 card is like a land, and the face up 2 cards are like 2 good cards, and then they're like, oh my god, there must be a really good card in that face down pile.
Yeah, it's a cool ability. That being said, as our boy Josh Lequai would say, I feel like this is not commander caliber.
Yeah, it is kind of card draw on it, but it's only a one-time thing, and besides that ETB ability, it doesn't really do anything else. I know I shouldn't be comparing it to like Gonti, but I feel like Gonti is just like a better version of this effect. Even though, I mean, technically this gets you 2 cards if you want them or something, but I just it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, that being said, it's not like
useless.
Negative. How do you feel about like C tier for now?
This feels like a C tier commander for now. So interesting to say, it is a 3/2 with menace, which generally isn't as important in these colors. So that's a distinction I like to make. A 3/2 menace in maybe like a Boros deck or something like that might be more valuable. Not to say that you can't go with a attacking theme, but yeah, I think for most Dimir commanders, low-cost commanders that get in combat damage aren't going to be as relevant.
Well, yeah, like you were saying about Gonti earlier, though, like this kind of commander feels like a value commander thing. Like if you're going to blink that or recur that and try to get that trigger more often. And I feel like in a value deck, you want a defensive mechanic. Like Gonti has Death Touch.
Yeah,
this has Menace.
So with Gonti, you trade it off or something, then cast it again. This one doesn't really, lead itself to that game plan.
Yeah.
All right, now we've got Circu or Circu, Dimir Lobotomist. This is from the original Ravnica, I believe, set. 4 mana for a 2/3. It's in this cycle of cards where whenever you cast a spell of one of the colors, it does something. Whenever you cast a spell of the other color, it does something.
Yeah, they had something to do with both the
colors. Yep. So when you play a blue spell, you get to exile the top card of target library from the game. When you play a black spell, you get to remove the top card of target library from the game. Did I read that right?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Wow, this is... And then it also says your opponents can't play non-land cards with the same names as cards removed from the game with Circu. So,
which it's pretty unlikely that'll happen. Maybe you hit a Soul Ring or something, or some Mana Rock.
Then the other players can't play them, I guess.
I think mostly the idea is...
Mill?
I feel like maybe I've seen a Circu deck that the idea was... get some kind of combo where you're like infinitely like casting a colored spell in some way.
But then again, like if you're going for the infinitely cast a thing, like that doesn't that work with like any like most cards in the game?
So it's that or like a mill thing where but you are exiling the card, so at least it's not
better
like
than
typical mill
in that way.
It's as Josh would say also, it's mexiling them.
Yeah, that's
mill and exile.
The Joshism. I think this card just is pretty bad. How do
you feel about D tier?
I want to put this as our first D tier. We got a good spread so far. So yeah, it just doesn't do anything, and it's not even like a good body. Mm-hmm. So it really just I don't see it at all.
Here's one I like. Dragonlord Silumgar. It's a 6 mana, 3/5 flying death touch. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature or planeswalker for as long as you control Dragonlord Silumgar.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple, but taking things, it's kind of so you get something from an opponent, and if it's a planeswalker, it's probably gonna do better because you can just take a planeswalker and get the value out of it right away. You can minus it or something, especially if it's like gonna ult or something. But they probably won't do that.
Yeah, and obviously, I think this is less good as a commander because they're just gonna see they're like, oh well, I don't want to play my best thing because they're just gonna steal it.
Yeah.
I think it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a value, like mid-range card. I kind of like, or even control card maybe. But the problem I have with it is like, I feel like you really have to take something and then get some use out of it, like right away. Otherwise, they're just gonna like kill your commander and get it back. So like, if you want to play that kind of black has a couple of cards that like sacrifice a creature and like get mana equal to its mana cost or something like that. That would be a cool way to take advantage of Silumgar, where you kind of just like kill a thing and kind of repay the cost of it.
Yeah, so maybe you play some sack outlets or you play something like Conjurer's Closet so you blink the thing you steal and it comes back under your control.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about maybe like B tier?
I'm thinking like B tier. I think I like it more than Anowon personally. What do you think about that?
Yeah, maybe. I got a soft spot for Silumgar.
Silumgar just feels... it just makes me happy. I don't think it's probably better than Anowon, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll leave him around here for now, and then we'll switch it up maybe. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. This is your favorite.
This is my favorite commander. This is Dralnu Lichlord. This is a 5-mana 3/3. I think shout out to MTG Mudsta, I believe, who had a Dralnu deck.
Probably, yeah. I know this was Jimmy Wong's first commander deck.
Ooh.
Or at least the first deck he attempted to make.
Yeah, this is a 5-mana 3/3 that says, if damage would be dealt to Dralnu Lichlord, sacrifice that many permanents instead. And then it has the tap ability to give a instant or sorcery in your graveyard flashback this turn. So personally, I think that Dralnu is just too big of a risk to play as a commander in general. This is just I mean, you could do some quirky and interesting things, but like it is a disaster waiting to happen.
Very high risk, high reward.
Your opponent plays a Blasphemous Act, you lose the game. I mean, I guess if you're playing a Dralnu deck, you have to play like all the free counter spells to prevent the disaster.
Well, yeah, let's play in defense of Dralnu though. So aside from Blasphemous Act, what is the other thing that's really gonna bone you though?
So you have any of the damage spells. I mean, Blasphemous Act being the most
I guess
common.
other damage based board wipes.
Some you can have people doing fighting things, like if someone has.
Oh yeah, that's a lot more common now.
Yeah, there's the commander that does that. There's the 1-drop creature that fights. There's some other creatures that come in and fight. Even that red card that cares about discard fights.
Yeah, I'm sold. That's pretty risky. How do you feel about like?
I want to say D. I want to say D tier.
Oh, he's not D tier. Come on, he's better.
You just ruin your game.
No, he's better than the Atris.
Really?
Well, if you get away with it, though.
If you get away with it, but man, I mean...
That can be really strong. That's a good ability.
It is a good ability.
It had to have some... I know that's a steep downside.
I get you. But, okay, I'll put it in C tier, but like...
Like we were saying, like, if you wanted to make, like, a really good Dralnu deck, you'd probably just play a bunch of free counter spells and stuff, and then, like, extra turns and stuff.
Yeah. Circu is not going to ruin your game. I guess you just don't play Dralnu until you have the means to do something. I guess that's the way you play it. You play it when you have haste and protection for it. Multiple ways to do it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the case. Sure. In that case, how do you feel about Dralnu in relation to Atris?
I think it's better than Atris.
I think you're right, but I will never cast this card. Okay.
Well,
personally.
like if somebody's playing a Dralnu deck against
you're probably
me, like,
scared, right?
Yeah,
that's fair. That's a fair point. If someone has a Dralnu deck, you're probably worried about them taking extra turns and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's a fair point.
Yeah, it's respectable.
But I will ruin your day if you're playing Dralnu against any red deck I play. Just letting you know. By making you lose every permanent you control.
We got a new one. Eloise, Nephalia Sleuth. She is a 5-mana 4/4. Whenever another creature you control dies, investigate. That's awesome. And whenever you sacrifice a token, surveil 1. So I love investigate and surveil. I think those are two really cool mechanics.
That being said, I don't think it's very. It's not like super high power, but it's just kind of like a mid-range kind of source of card draw, right?
Yeah, this is the sort of modern day commander I like to see.
It doesn't feel like it breaks anything in the format. It doesn't give you insane it doesn't give you insane mana ramp or card advantage without having to kind of put a cost into it. Like in this case, you have to pay 2 mana for each clue token, and it's not the most aggressively costed where it's 3 mana or something. Mm-hmm. And it's just a decent body. So I don't know. Eloise is cool. I like it. Do you have anything cool to say about her?
I'm thinking it's cool. I think it's pretty middling though, pretty medium.
Somewhere in
thinking maybe a C.
Yeah.
Like C.
Like here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, now we have Etrata the Silencer. This is 4 mana for a 3/5. This is a commander card, by the way. This is a commander tier list.
So this was played on an episode of Game Nights.
Remember that. No flame to the person who played it, of course. It is a 4 mana 3/5 with unblockable. And it says, when Etrata deals combat damage to a player, put a hit counter on that card. Or wait, what is it? Sorry, I missed the line. You exile a creature that player controls and put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exiled cards with hit counters on them. Etrata's owner shuffles Etrata into their library. So, how it generally works is you hit someone with Etrata, you exile one of their creatures, and then she goes back to your command zone or something. So she also dies. So she 1-for-1s with the opponent's creature when you hit them. So, first of all, it's super slow, because it comes out, then you have to hit somebody. So it's at least 1 turn later, or if you have haste. Mm-hmm. Second of all, you can't... I just don't think you really ever want to kill your own commander to kill your opponent's card, most of the time.
Yeah, so it's 4 mana, slower than sorcery speed.
Kill a thing.
Exile a creature.
And then it's 6 mana next time.
Exile a creature, deal 3 damage.
Yeah. And, I'm aware that you have tricky things you can do with Etrata, like bouncing her to your hand, I believe, so that she doesn't get shuffled back or something like that. There's some weird stuff you can do.
Use a mirror gallery effect, make some clones, use a Helm of the Host.
It's way too bad, I think, to do any of that. You can do it, it's fine, but it's really not a good game plan in my opinion. So, I'm thinking a D tier, Eli. What do you think?
I'm thinking an F tier.
Yeah. She's unblockable.
F tier.
Yeah, fine. What does this guy even do? Is it better than Etrata? Does Circu do anything really?
He doesn't shuffle himself back into your library or put himself in the command zone.
That's a good point. Okay, I'm with it. Okay, so Etrata just doesn't feel like a commander card. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's okay. We're gonna have some of those, and they go in the F tier.
That's fair.
We have Gisa and Geralf. when Gisa and Geralf enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. During each of your turns, you may cast a zombie creature spell from your graveyard, and it's a 4-mana 4/4. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, solid body. 4-mana 4/4 is about as good as you can get.
Carador for zombies.
Yeah, and you get a free spell every turn. It's value. It even has the mill on itself, which is nice. You're probably bound in a zombie deck. You're probably bound to mill a zombie, and if you don't, you can probably get a zombie in the graveyard somehow, sacrificing or otherwise. So
yeah, good value.
I want to say like
a B tier. Yeah,
like above. I want to say like above Anowon personally.
I think you could do a lot worse for a zombie commander.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Oh, speaking of zombie commander.
Oh yeah, we got Grimgrin, Corpseborn, 5-mana 5/5. Grimgrin enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. Sacrifice another creature, untap Grimgrin, and put a counter on it, +1/+1 counter. And then whenever Grimgrin attacks, destroy target creature defending player controls, then put a +1/+1 counter on Grimgrin. So it's a bit of a weird thing to wrap your head around, because every time you want to untap or attack, essentially attack, because you need to untap to attack, you have to sacrifice a creature. So you do need to, like, somehow probably do, like, a zombie... I mean, it is a zombie. It doesn't actually care about zombies, so it doesn't have to be a zombie deck. But it is a zombie itself, and that's how a lot of people will play it.
Yeah, it's also a free sack outlet in the command zone, so
which is nice.
That's a cool thing.
It's an interesting card, though, yeah.
Yeah, having removal, too, so it's kind of like we were talking about Etrata. Like,
yeah,
he attacks, he destroys something.
And it's a little bit similar to Etrata in that you can't do it again next turn without something else in play, whereas with Etrata, she goes back to your command zone. This one, you just have to sacrifice a creature, which, if you build your deck around it, like, you can play, like, Ophiomancer stuff, where you pretty much always have a creature to keep it untapped.
Yeah, Grimgrin is
it's interesting.
He's the kind of legendary creature that was a really popular and heavily played commander, like, way back in the day. Like, when we started playing.
Yeah.
We have a friend that still uses Grimgrin as a zombie commander, because that's just what it used to be, and it's nostalgic, and there's some things, like being the sack outlet, that's good. Like if you have your Gravecrawler, your Rooftop Storm, and like something that gives you a death trigger, or just getting Grimgrin to be infinitely large.
Yeah, that will do things.
So
I don't think Grimgrin's bad.
No, I don't hate. That being said, I think it's probably like a C tier.
I think so. I want us to put Grimgrin like here or here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Dralnu's better, but...
All right, I don't have respect for Dralnu, but I'll trust your opinion here. Okay, next we have Gyruda, or Gyruda. Gyruda, Doom of Depths. This is the companion commander, which is going to be irrelevant for this because we're discussing
we don't need to...
as a commander. So it's a 6-mana 6/6 that says when it enters the battlefield, each player mills 4, and then you can put a creature card with an even mana cost from among the cards that were milled that way onto the battlefield under your control. So there's a lot of ways you can build this deck, the most common of which is just like the kind of pseudo-infinite clone deck.
Bunch of clones.
Where you hope to mill clones from yourselves, and then the clone comes in as a copy of Gyruda, and then you continue that, keep milling and getting more clones. The other way you could play this deck is just as a normal, like, whatever you want deck, as this is like a commander that just like can get value by reanimating something. I think it's probably gonna, even if like you don't build with like the even mana cost thing in mind, you're probably gonna hit something from someone's graveyard, I would hope.
Yeah.
I think the odds are pretty good that you hit something. And if you're getting something off of this, then it's just a 6-mana 6/6 that comes with a free something. Maybe a really good thing.
It's pretty sick. And then you can reanimate it, you can blink it, just keep getting some value. It's a lot of value for your mana.
Yeah, like that Conjurer's Closet kind of gameplay where you like just get every turn you get something else. It's pretty good.
I'm feeling like this isn't quite an A tier.
I think it's
maybe
B tier.
Top of B tier.
I think I agree with that. I think it's around here.
It's very strong. I have a friend that has that on Magic Online and does some nutty stuff with it. So
Next we have Kels, Fight Fixer from... Oh god, this was the
Jumpstart.
The Jumpstart packs, yeah.
She's a 4-mana 4/3 with Menace. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you may pay a blue or black. If you do, draw a card. And you can pay 1 mana, sacrifice a creature. Kels gains indestructible until end of turn. So whenever you do a thing, pay a mana, draw a card.
Not as good as when do a thing, draw a card, but still pretty good. I mean, Eli, we're always going to value relatively cheap mana cost commanders, probably 4 and less, that will draw cards. Like when we talked about what is this, Anowon here. This one does require you to lose a thing, whereas Anowon just required you to hit somebody. That being said, I still think it's probably like fine. Like, it's not bad. I wouldn't see this and think like they're playing a bad deck.
Yeah, I think I mean it really just seems like a Dimir aristocrats kind of thing, and having to pay the mana on there. I think that's a good thing that they did that, because
otherwise I wouldn't like the gameplay if it was just draw a card.
That's obscene. Like, if you could just like sacrifice a creature, draw a card.
Like, you just go infinite, like infinite or absurdly large, like any time.
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's dumb. I mean, there is power to being able to do this multiple times a turn. So, like, I mean, and there are probably some infinite-ish things you can do, but that is the case with, like, every color combination and every color when it comes to sacrificing things.
Yeah, the level of value from this, it feels to me kind of like Eloise.
Yeah,
the Sleuth. Like, it's kind of like whenever you sacrifice a thing or when your stuff dies, you can get some card draw.
It's a cool combo with, like, not combo, but it's cool synergy with, like, Phyrexian Altar, because you can sacrifice a creature, and then that will give you a blue or a black.
Yeah.
And then you can use that to draw a card, so it can just turns any creature into sacrifice that creature, draw a card, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so you're thinking like
I'm thinking like a B.
Better than Grimgrin, maybe?
Yeah, I was thinking like a B or a C. I think it's just some good value and probably fine. I'm with that. Okay, now
you have to read this one.
This should be, I believe, Kotose, the Silent Spider. This is a 5-mana 4/4. When Kotose, the Silent Spider, enters the battlefield, exile target card other than a basic land card from an opponent's graveyard. Search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles. For as long as you control Kotose, you may play one of the exiled cards, and you may spend mana or any color to cast it. So what this does, in all intents and purposes, is you get to exile a non-land card from somebody's graveyard and cast it for the rest of the game. That's what it does in a commander format, because you can't play doubles. I suppose if your opponent is playing a Dragon's Approach deck, you can exile all their Dragon's Approaches.
We should do that to Jesse.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. But outside of that, there's a 5-mana creature that does this. It exiles all opponents' graveyards, and you get to essentially Gonti one of them.
Yeah, from the Strixhaven commander decks.
And that card's pretty cool, but I think the reason that card's good is because it exiles their graveyards. That's like why it's like, that pushes it over the edge.
Yeah, exiles all opponents' graveyards.
Yep. This is just one card from one opponent's graveyard. I guess you get to see their hand. That's a...
Yeah.
I know. But it's just not I don't think this is like a very good commander card. It does the same thing as like Eloise. Is this Eloise? Is that what this is? No. What is this card called? Whatever. It does the same thing where it like draws you one card, kind of, right? For like a big creature.
Yeah, like Atris, yeah.
And it's like less, and it's more mana than Atris, so I want to put it below Atris, but I want to say like D tier. I want to put it in like D
tier, yeah.
I think it might be better than this guy, though.
I think I like it better than Circu, because it draws me a card.
Yeah, so it's worse. I think it's worse than this because it draws a card, but not really. And it might not. And there's a small chance that you want to play this on 5, and there's nothing in the graveyards that matters or that you want.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, I guess I can't play my commander.
Yeah. Next up we have Krydle of Baldur's Gate. And whenever he's a 2-mana 1/3, whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player loses 1 life and mills a card. Then you gain 1 life and scry 1. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2. If you do, target creature can't be blocked this turn.
So that first text that you have there is, I'm going to read that as do nothing. Is that okay? Is that fair?
Yeah.
It's kind of inconsequential, I feel. So the other part is, when you attack, you can pay 2 and make a creature unblockable.
That's kind of cool.
But because
it doesn't have to be him attacking. It's the whenever you attack thing, which we've seen that in recent years.
So if he's just a 1/3 that says, whenever you attack, you can pay 2 mana and make something unblockable. I'm not super impressed with that, personally. What is it? There's the Merfolk commander that like makes 1 unblockable, right? For like 2 mana? That is something else. Or is it protection? Whatever. It's not really relevant.
The Azorius.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is protection.
But that does like more things. I think this is like kind of bad, though.
I think this is a D tier, probably.
It's 2 mana. We value 2 mana commanders, but it doesn't like do anything. Like, I don't value...
I mean, maybe you can do some unblockable stuff, but I feel like we're probably going to talk about a better commander for that in this list. And like, I feel like you want something else out of the commander and getting your unblockable somewhere else.
I think that's actually like the definition of this D tier. You want something else out of the commander. Where do you want to put it, by the way? You want at the top of here, or do you like low? What do you like here? Bottom?
It's all dirt.
Doesn't really matter to you?
Yeah.
I'm going to put him at the top because he's 2 mana.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Lazav, Dimir Mastermind. This was also, I mean, this was like iconic.
This is an OG.
Yeah. It's a 4 mana, notably blue, blue, black, black, for a 3/3 with hexproof, and it says, whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you can have Lazav become a copy of it, except it also, its name is Lazav Dimir Mastermind, and it's legendary, and also it has hexproof, and it has the Lazav ability to turn into something else.
So it can keep changing into different stuff.
It's always got hexproof, it's always got that Lazav ability, and it turns into whatever else the other creatures, have. It's a cool card.
So it's pretty cool. So you can do, you mill your opponents and then maybe make him into a really cool creature.
Or you kill something and make him into a cool creature, or, any other way of putting something in a graveyard.
Yeah, that being said, like, I'm trying to think, so you're not getting enter the battlefield abilities, and I feel like most people's creatures are probably just in there for that. Like, there's still some cool attack trigger creatures and some large creatures, but I feel like he's probably just going to get big and have hexproof.
One thing that is interesting is that you can get people's commanders when they die. I mean, even though they go to the command zone, they also are put into a graveyard, I believe.
Yeah.
So maybe you're kind of at the mercy of what your opponents have in your deck. In their deck, excuse me. And that's obviously a point against it, because your opponents could just be playing like Baral, Chief of Compliance, and you're like, okay, I don't care about anything you have. Mm-hmm. But that being said, there's probably going to be something that's better than whatever you spent for 4 mana. Like, probably something better than a 4 mana, whatever he is.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah, how do you feel about, like, C tier?
I'm thinking, like I don't know, like here? Or just where do you want it? Here? Here?
Yeah, maybe below Kels.
Below Kels.
His card draw is king.
True. All right. He's an interesting guy.
Right,
okay.
I get cool Lazav.
Yeah, this one's more interesting.
Lazav the Multifarious. It's a 2 mana 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 1, and you can pay X and have Lazav become a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with CMC X, except it's still Lazav the Multifarious. It's legendary in addition to its other types, and it has this ability.
So it's the same as the other Lazav, except you have to. It only can take a creature from your graveyard, and you have to pay mana equal to its mana cost. So this is an interesting commander. I have this deck built. A friend of mine actually built this deck for me. It's like a pretty budget version of it, so it's kind of cool. He gave me the deck, which is really nice of him. But the game plan for that deck is essentially play a bunch of like looting creatures and stuff like that, and a bunch of like unblockable / like ways, flying or whatever creatures, and then you attack someone, and then you turn it into a Night Howler or the 5 mana one that has power toughness equal to the number of creature cards in your opponent's graveyards or all graveyards or whatever, and you just one-shot someone with commander damage.
Yeah, or if you really want to shell out extra money, there's that Phyrexian Dreadnought that's like a 1 mana 13/13.
Yeah, then you can make him do that or something.
Yeah,
like
it's got the negative ETB though, so like you just like rummage that away or loot that away. You pay like 1 mana and make him a 13/13.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
It's kind of interesting as well because you can be like, you can have like a 1 mana creature with like hexproof in your graveyard, and like an opponent like targets your commander, then you pay 1 mana and make it a hexproof guy. Mm-hmm. So it's there's some interesting things you can do with it. It does get the bonus for being a 2-mana commander that actually does something, unlike this guy who he does something. I'm just being down on it. I don't know. What do you think?
So you've played the deck. What do you think?
I play a pretty bare bone kind of really budget version of the deck, because I just don't want to change the deck that Bradley gave me. So I just want to play it as it is, and it's all right, honestly. Like, it's not too bad. I don't think it's like absurdly powerful, but if the game goes 12 turns or something, you will assemble a way to pretty, like, through interaction kill one person if you want to, or maybe even multiple if you have some other ways to do it. So
you think it just kind of like middle, like solid?
I want to give it like a C tier.
Yeah.
I want to give it
a lot
like
of C's. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to give it like here.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. You do the next one, Eli. Again.
Oh boy.
You got two sides.
We got two sides. Ludevic, Necrogenius. It's a 2-mana 2/3, so that's kind of good.
I like 2-mana creatures.
When it enters the battlefield or attacks, mill a card.
That's usually an upside.
It's honorary Titan.
Yep.
Pay blue, black, X. Exile X creature cards from your graveyard. Transform Ludevic. X can't be 0. Activate only as a sorcery. So then he transforms into Olag, Ludevic's Hubris. A 4-mana, it's a 4/4 zombie. As this creature transforms into Olag, it becomes a copy of a creature card exiled with it, except it's still Olag. It's a 4/4, and it's a legendary black and blue zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Then you put a number of +1/+1 counters on Olag equal to the number of creature cards exiled with it. So if you just do one, it's got the abilities of the creature and one +1/+1 counter.
So essentially what this does is you play it as a 2-mana 3/4, and then you can pay any number above 5 or above. You can pay whatever mana and exile that many creatures from your graveyard. Well, not that many, but 1 for 5, 2 for 6. And then it becomes a whatever the amount you paid power creature with the abilities of one of the things you exiled. So if you pay 10 mana, it's a 10/10. If you pay 6 mana, it's a 6/6. And it's whatever your best thing in your graveyard is.
I feel like it's big diminishing returns to exile more than one creature.
Yeah, because I feel that's right, because you probably, the benefit you're getting out of it is whatever that creature does, I think, most of the time, more so than the size of Olag. So, like, you get like a, you get like a Razaketh or something, and then you have the Razaketh ability, or whatever. Or a Consecrated Sphinx, and you have the Consecrated Sphinx ability. It doesn't matter if that Consecrated Sphinx is a 9/9 or a 4 or a 5/5. Like, so, I mean, he's okay. I think he's kind of cool.
I think he's kind of cool, too.
He is, I mean, it is kind of value, right? Like, it's like, you just play your commander, and then later in the game, when you have a creature die, you can make him that creature if he's good or something. I guess it's not value, because it's not like you're getting another creature, it's turning him into it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a weird mimeoplasm.
Yeah.
Except for just your own graveyard. So
I'm also feeling kind of C tier for this one, but what do you feel?
We're gonna get out of. I promise, we're gonna escape the C tier.
Do you want to give it like above Lazav here or below Lazav?
I think above Lazav. I think it's
okay. How do you feel? I'm seeing Silumgar here. Do you feel Silumgar is C tier too?
No, he's earned that B tier.
Okay, he's earned
There's not enough room in the C tier.
Yeah, this is pretty epic here.
Crowded.
All right, we got Mirko Vosk, Mind Drinker. I believe this is the Maze Runner, if I'm not mistaken, from Dragon's Maze. It's a 5-mana 2/4 with flying, and it says, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player reveals cards on the top of his or her library until they reveal 4 land cards, and they mill those cards. So, you hit somebody, they mill whatever until they get 4 lands.
Could be a lot.
Could be a lot of cards. It is only one player that you're milling, which is pretty bad.
But yeah, 5 mana,
2/4 flying. Maybe mill them when you hit somebody.
I said we were gonna get out of the C tier because I'm thinking this is D tier.
I think so too. I think
maybe top of the D tier.
You think so? It doesn't do anything. This is good. This guy's gonna mill more cards.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that mill 4.
Oh no, you're gonna mill like 10 or more, maybe.
Yeah.
But this mill's 10 with like 3 spells.
Yeah.
This guy costs more
if
too.
They're black and blue.
No. It's each opponent though, right? Or is it
No,
target?
I think it's target.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Okay, fine. But Mill kind of... I mean, Mill is kind of a Dimir thing.
Yeah.
Mill, I think, is generally a pretty bad archetype in Commander. Like, it's not that good. You can play it and you can have fun with it, but it's just not going to be the best thing you can do, right? Mm-hmm. All right, here we have...
Narfi, Betrayer King. 5 mana, 4/3. For our first snow creature, zombie wizard. Other snow and zombie creatures you control get +1/+1, and you can pay 3 snow mana to return Narfi from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I just want to say, this is a limited bomb right here.
Yeah, infinite
Very hard
value.
Hard to deal with. That being said, it's a limited bomb.
Yeah.
And limited bombs, I feel like...
generally don't translate well.
I think they go into the D tier.
Yeah. So pretty much all it does is... Okay, so it does buff your snow creatures. That's probably pretty irrelevant. It's a zombie anthem for 5 mana. And that's... I guess it can come back to play with 3 snow lands, but...
Yeah, I guess not having to pay your commander tax if it just gets destroyed is kind of a nice thing, but...
In the year of 2022, the year of our Lord and Savior, you want more from your commander than just an anthem. Like, if you want to...
Yeah.
Like, the mono-white 4-mana commander that's an anthem to all your creatures sucks. There's no reason for me to believe this card's any better than that.
Yeah, it's of all the Dimir zombie commanders, I'm just thinking you don't play this above the other ones, unless you have very specific reasons, or if you're wanting to do a snow theme, maybe.
Like, it could be the helm for your theme deck. That's fine, but the commander itself isn't going to be very valuable.
Yeah.
Are you okay with here, by the way?
Yeah, I want to do this next one too.
Okay.
Because it's my boy Richard Kane Ferguson. Nebuchadnezzar, 5 mana, 3/3, human wizard. Pay X, tap him. Name a card. Target opponent reveals X cards at random from his or her hand. That player then discards all cards with that name revealed this way. Activate this ability only during your turn.
What do you think, Eli? It's very unfortunate. It suffers from old card syndrome. I think it's a Legends commander.
You know what?
It's probably the best Legends commander.
I'm going to give it its
from
props, though.
colors.
So this is a Legends commander, and you know what happens to those in the tier. If you watch the other tier list,
They go in the F tier.
But I'm thinking this is a Legends commander that could go in the D tier.
Escapes the D tier.
Yeah.
Do you think it's better than this guy? Probably not.
Probably not.
No. But Nebuchadnezzar's cool. Usually Legends commanders have the unfortunate side effect of being like 5 to 7 mana and like doing nothing.
Being vanilla. This is one that does something.
And it's 5 mana. And it's just 1 mana. You don't have to pay a ton of mana to do its thing. 1 mana tap. Well, I guess it does. No.
You kind of do have to pay more.
Yeah, you got to be like...
Unless they have one card in their hand and you know what it is.
You got to be like, Island, pay 5 mana. Just...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, you can make someone discard all their islands. That's pretty cool. All right. This is also another... Or this is... I don't remember what this is from. Was this from a commander deck?
This is from Commander Legends.
Oh, okay. I don't remember this guy at all. Well, I do remember him. I just didn't remember he was from that. 5 mana for a 1/6 with flash and flying. Very interesting stats.
This is Nimrus, Una's Trickster.
Oh, yes. Should have said that, huh? It says when you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, you get to look the top 2 cards of your library and put one of them in your hand, the other in the graveyard. So it's kind of like Flash / Instant Speed Tribal is kind of like the way that it wants you to play, it seems.
It's kind of neat.
I like it. I like that kind of mechanic. Win, do thing, draw card. Always going to be good.
Yeah.
5 mana, a bit more than I want to pay, but, you know, it does have flash, which helps.
Its flavor text says mischief is its own reward. Would you agree with that, Spencer?
No, I don't. I think the reward is when you see the face of the person you're messing with, and then they're upset. Okay. Does this break? Do you think this breaks? No, I don't think it breaks the C tier. Do you think it does? I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
I think it's
pretty solid. It's unique.
Yeah. I feel somewhere around here. What do you think?
I think so.
Better or worse than the hybrid mana?
Slightly worse than Kels, I think.
Okay.
A little more specific.
Cool.
I mean, you're just gonna play stuff on other people's turns.
Both of these cards, you can draw multiple cards with it per cycle. They just require different things. This one's 4 mana and this one's 5 mana. That's
Yeah, Nimbus is a really good blocker.
That is nice.
People can't just chip away at you in the air like fucking angel tokens. Like,
yeah, 4/4 angels coming in, 1/5.
Yeah.
Got them. All right. Well, now we have Una, Queen of the Fae. This is a 6 mana, 3 and hybrid for a 5/5, and it has flying, and it says X and a hybrid, so you got to pay, 1 blue or black, and then X. Choose a color. Target opponent exiles top X cards of their library. For each card of the chosen color exiled this way, create a 1/1 flying fairy rogue token.
So this is also kind of a classic commander. It's a pretty solid mill commander, I think, because it's got 2 things going for it. So it exiles the cards
instead of milling them. Yep.
And it actually gives you something else for doing that. It's not just like spend your mana, do something that literally doesn't affect the board.
Yeah, it's not like exile the cards and then exist.
Yeah, so if you choose somebody who's like a monocolor deck, you're probably going to get a decent amount of fairies.
Yeah, probably like 60-40 lands, so you're probably getting, so you pay like 5 mana, you get like 3 fairies. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that being said, it is a 6 mana commander.
That is, a lot to be. It's hard. I do know someone that had played this deck, and it was like a steal your stuff deck, and Una was the commander that would end up being a infinite mana win con. It's an outlet for infinite mana. You can just exile your opponent's decks.
Yeah.
That being said, a lot of cards can do that, so I don't know how much. I don't think I'm going to give it a ton of, props for that. Lots of cards do that, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You want to say C tier?
Oh man, I don't know.
Can everything go in C tier? Is it B tier? Is it worse?
It's 6 mana and
it's a lot of mana.
I get that it's an infinite mana sink. I get that that's probably what you're doing with it, but I also feel like
I want to put it like here.
Getting killed one time and then just
How does this make you feel? Do you feel it's much worse than this?
I think that's fair.
Okay. I'm just kind of winging it for this one. I'm not very confident. Oh boy, Eli, this is a big boy. This is an iconic commander.
Phoenix, God of Deception. It's a 5 mana 4/7 legendary enchantment creature. God, indestructible. You have to have a devotion of blue and black, greater than or equal to 7 for it to be a creature. And then creatures you control have tap. Target player mills the top X cards of their library, where X is the creature's toughness.
So this was like the first, well, not the first, but the most iconic mill commander, I think, in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, there's some other, obviously some of these other commanders mill, but this one was
popular.
This is the one most people would build.
You can mill a lot of cards with it.
It's like the wall deck, I guess. You play like the biggest toughness you can.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like you have to play a lot of... you can play good creatures. You could just play, good, decent creatures.
I think there's some combos involved. I think there are a couple combos you can do with Fennex.
Yeah, and I guess you could also, mill yourself, too, and...
That being said, you and I are not very proponents. We're not very big proponents of mill. We don't think mill is very powerful. So, I'm just not...
You know why he's the God of Deception?
Because he makes people think he's good?
Tricks a lot of commander players into thinking that mill's like a thing
real
you
strategy.
Should be doing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm thinking D tier.
I don't know, man. I don't think he's D tier.
Top of D tier.
I want to put him like here. Because okay, listen, hear me out here, okay? Imagine for a second, okay? Just hear me out. I know how most people build the deck, but what if you just build a normal non-mill Fennex deck and then you have a 4/7 indestructible that blocks everything?
That's why I can jive with it. I just feel like that's not.
And then you mill yourself or something and play reanimation, right? That seems like a fine deck.
Yeah, that's okay.
Maybe
it's usable.
It doesn't die.
Yeah.
Okay, but not good though.
Up next,
I can't put it anywhere near Mirko Vosk here. Mirko Vosk is bad.
He's best buddies with Phoenix. They're probably just oh, it's going to be so epic when we mill 10 cards.
Exactly.
Up next we have Princess Lucrezia. And she is a 6 mana 5/4 human wizard. Taps to add a blue to your mana pool. Legends Commander, a very simple ability. No flavor text. F tier.
Yep. I'm putting it below Etrata. I'm sorry.
Pissed off. Why doesn't it have flavor text? I guess maybe that's just the version that they put on here, because that's not the original Legend. Oh, the original Legends version probably had
let me
flavor
click it.
text.
Nope, it has no flavor text.
That's some bullshit. God damn it.
All right, now we have Ramirez DePietro. They made a new version of Ramirez. It's pretty cool. The Ghost of Ramirez in Commander Legends. Mono blue. But this is a 6 mana, 4/3 with first strike. Pirate.
And he says, Ramirez DePietro is a most flamboyant pirate. Be careful not to believe his tall tales, especially when you ask his age.
Very epic.
Some flavor text. Top of F tier.
I'm putting it
above Etrata.
I'm putting it below the card that does something. I'm sorry.
Fuck you.
Ramses Overdark. 6 mana for a 4/3. Tap, destroy enchanted creature.
And a
Richard Kane
wonderful
Ferguson.
Richard Kane Ferguson art. I could see myself playing this card just
Boom.
because of that. No, not F tier.
F tier.
D tier.
What are you going to do with it?
What are you going to do with Nebuchadnezzar?
That's a good point.
I'm going to put him above Nebuchadnezzar.
Fine. He's 6 mana.
I think our boy Murph has this deck.
What are you going to do? Enchant your opponent's creature, then kill it?
Yeah.
Why?
There's some cool stuff you could do. There's like that enchantment that you put on an opponent's creature, and then when it dies, it comes back under your control.
What about Dead Man's Chest?
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, you could do some cool shit.
That sounds really bad.
It's awesome. It's epic.
We can put him here. It's fine.
Top of D tier.
No. Oh, this one? No, this guy's not top of D tier.
Ramses Overdark is top of D tier.
How?
Because he's epic.
He's not. All right, we got Riven Turnbull. This is... Wait, what the hell? It's 7 mana for a 5/7, tap to add a black. So similar to this one, except this one has flavor text.
Yeah, he says, political violence is a perfectly legitimate answer to the persecution handed down by dignitaries of the state. That's some good flavor text. Top of F tier.
It's just worse than this card, though. Like, it's 1 mana more. I'll put it above for flavor text, though.
Okay. Thank you.
There you go. Out of the legend land for now. You want to do this one, Eli? This guy kind of... I don't like this guy, personally.
Rona, Disciple of Gix. 3 mana, 2/2, Human Artificer. When she enters the battlefield, you may exile target historic card from your graveyard. So those are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. You may cast non-land cards exiled with Rona. 4 mana tap, exile the top card of your library.
Slow. Very, very slow. And you maybe can... So
maybe draw a card.
You maybe draw a card eventually. And then if you want to draw more cards, you got to spend 1 million mana and then have something in your graveyard. I'm going to say D tier. I'm going to say...
Don't do it, Smith. God damn it.
Right here.
No. Below Ramses and Nebuchadnezzar.
Hear me out here, okay? Ready? This 5 mana guy here, whatever this card's called, this one draws a card. This 3 mana guy draws a card.
Ramses Overdark can kill a creature.
Well, nope. Rona draws worse cards, though, because it's your crappy historic spells. So... Here. How does that make you feel, Eli? You hate it?
It's objectively incorrect, but that's okay. That's all right.
All right, good. I'm glad. Now we have Runo Stromkirk. This is the boy that everyone's been loving. It came out in the last couple months.
Very popular. He's a cool guy.
One of the most popular of Dimir. It is a 1/4 with flying for 3 mana, vampire cleric, and it's got a ton of text because it's got 2 sides. When it enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If it's a creature with CMC 6 or greater, you can flip Runo Stromkirk. And when he's flipped, he's a 3/5 flyer that says, whenever it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of another attacking creature. And if that creature is a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, create 2 of those tokens instead. Notably, these tokens do not go away. They exist forever.
Yeah, he turns into a Cthulhu.
Yeah. There's a lot to say about Runo. I'm not sure we're going to say all of it.
I think Runo's really cool. I actually, I was thinking he might be a cool deck to make and just do it like, you might play some good Krakens, Leviathans, or Octopuses. There's not that many I can think of that are really like amazing, but You could play a couple. I think just mostly I would play like good 6-mana creatures and then attack and get
another 6-mana creature.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit weird because like you don't want to play it on 3 because you want to have something to like put from your deck on top of your library. Or I guess you could play it on 3 and just try to blind flip the top card, which might be a better plan, honestly.
Yeah, and I guess this is like, they say brainstorm with it or something, or like...
yeah, I guess you play like Brainstorm or
those
like
kind of things.
Brainstorm would probably be an okay card in this deck.
Yeah.
Scroll Rack, stuff like that. I think it's pretty good, honestly. Like, I don't know if it's like the most powerful thing in the world, but I want to give this like a B tier. How does that make you feel?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he seems pretty good. I mean, it's kind of tricky, but also I think you're just going to play some good big creature. It's like a Dimir big stuff deck.
Yeah, I want to give... Like, if it's unchecked, like, it's a 3-drop that needs to be checked at some point, right? Because if it's unchecked and it flips, it's going to... Like, if you can get that trigger on the back of it to happen once, like, not even on a sea creature, like, it's going to be very good.
Yeah, because you're assuming your creatures are 6 CMC or more, so... If you create a token copy of a 6 CMC or more creature, that's...
like, let's say you create a Grave Titan. Like, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much, like, 6 mana worth
and
of
draw
value.
a card, so... I
Yeah.
want to say, like...
B tier
like
above...
here, or what? Here? What do you think? Where are you feeling?
I'm thinking below Anowon, but...
above,
yeah.
Above Silumgar. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, then next we have Satoru Umezawa. It's a 3-mana 2/4 human ninja. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. In any order, this ability triggers only once each turn. And each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu, 2 of blue and black.
So, and what that means, if you're unaware, is if you have an unblocked creature, you can return that creature to your hand and put the creature with ninjutsu from your hand into the battlefield, attacking, and it's also unblocked and stuff like that. This card, I think, is one of the best Dimir commanders printed in general, and I think it's kind of a mistake, in my opinion, in the sense that I personally think that when I don't want to get on my soapbox here, but like it's really good. Okay, it both draws cards and ramps you mana essentially by letting you spend 4 mana for your big creature in your hand instead of how much it costs. And it doesn't even require you to build a deck. Like, it doesn't require anything out of the deck building. It's just put a couple small creatures or just itself in the deck and put big creatures in the deck. And then everything else you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, we've talked about before, Spencer, how the people keep being like, give me my ninja tribal commander. And then Wizards is like, okay, here is your big stuff deck.
Here is your ninja tribal commander that doesn't care about ninjas whatsoever. Yeah. Satoru is probably unfun, in my opinion.
Let's talk about the play pattern here. So, like, pretty modest scenario here. Maybe you play a 1 or 2 mana creature with some kind of evasion. You play Satoru on turn 3.
Every game you're going to have it on turn 3 if you want to.
If he's not removed, or if your other creature isn't removed, and you're able to get an attack in, unblock the next turn 4.
Yeah.
For 4 mana, you put out an insanely large creature. And also draw a card.
And also draw the best card in the top 3 of your library. That's the thing that's also kind of ridiculous about it, because let's say that you bricked, meaning that you just don't have a really good big creature to put into play. Then what do? You put in your okay creature and then draw the big creature for next turn. What, you just put a Blightsteel Colossus and kill somebody? It's not very fun.
Yeah, man, I don't...
Or you put in a Jin-Gitaxias and everyone loses their hand?
I can't,
not fun.
I can't really appreciate a 3-mana commander that cheats mana, draws you cards, and demands to be removed. I think that makes it an S tier.
I think it is an S tier for sure. Besides the fact that we don't like it, obviously we will appreciate the strength and respect it. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, moving on, we have the partner commander, Silas Wren, Seeker Adept, also a 3-mana commander. It is a 2/2 with Death Touch, and it says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, Choose target artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn from your graveyard once. And has partner, of course, but there is a little bit of a buff that this card gets, a little bit of a an upscale in rating because it has partner, but only a little bit.
Add any other mono blue or
mono black commander
partner.
Yep. This guy's pretty good, I think, because the play. I mean, what is the play? We were talking about play patterns. Like the play pattern is like you play some sort of like bauble or something early in the game, and then you draw a card, and then you play Silas Wren on turn 3. And then it has Death Touch, so people don't want to block it if they only have like their commander out or something. And then you just get a draw a card. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you play your bauble from your graveyard, draw a card.
Pretty medium.
Not like amazing, but like with being a partner, it's kind of cool. And even if you don't get to draw a card, like maybe it can rebuy your equipment or something you need later. It's not the best, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, do you think this goes with like some of the with C tier,
some of the,
like,
the value cards,
like kind of slow, like medium value engine commanders?
Yeah, like I want to put it like here or here. I don't know. I think it's kind of good. What do you think? Here?
I think he's kind of good too.
Do you want to put him above this? Oops.
Yeah, maybe
partner value, maybe.
Yeah.
Without partner, maybe a little bit lower in C, but partner a little higher.
Yeah. All right. We have Silumgar, the Drifting Death. 6 mana, 3/7, flying, hexproof. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, creatures defending player controls get -1/-1 until end of turn. And Silumgar is a dragon, so should be at least 1 when it attacks.
Yeah. Interesting thing about this deck is it really the -1 with just one dragon being the commander. It's like it's gonna destroy certain decks. So like token decks that make 1/1 tokens or decks with mana dorks or something. It's going to kind of wreck them. But besides that, it's like a flying creature. So like it's if we're going to block with a creature, it doesn't really matter. Like the -1/-1 doesn't really do anything, right? If it's not killing things. That being said, it's like a dragon deck, right? So if you attack with several dragons, I think you have to attack the same. It's whenever a dragon you control attacks, creatures defending. So you have to attack like the same person with like 2 dragons to give them -2/-2.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be killing things a lot of the time, except for against certain decks. And it is nice that it has hexproof and is a very large blocker. It is a 3/7, so it's hard to attack you if it's the first turn after you cast it. That's kind of nice. It's a little defensive. But I don't really have a lot to say about Silumgar. I don't think it's that good. What do you think, Eli?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that. I mean, it's kind of cool that like maybe if you had some changelings or like smaller dragons, you could get the trigger the turn you play Silumgar.
Yeah.
And then, like, hexproof is cool. That's a good thing on a commander. I'm having trouble imagining
scenarios where it's really good.
The Dimir dragon deck.
Yeah. Like, there's not really... I mean, there's a couple, but I can't think of more than 5 Dimir dragons that I'd want to play. And then that's the problem, right? I think it's worse than the other Silumgar for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's worse than a lot of these things that generate value. I don't know if it's worse than... Well, what do you think? How do you compare it to, like, this guy? Do you think it's worse than this guy? Whatever... I don't remember this card's name. Atris?
I think Silumgar is, like... It's a cool thing in theory, but I think there's a lot of stuff that just makes it, in practice, a little awkward.
I think it's better than Mirko Vosk.
Yeah.
Do you want to say top of D tier? Or bottom of C tier? Or somewhere above?
Yeah, maybe D for Dragon, Tribal, and Dimir
D
tier.
for Dragon. That's a good argument. I can't argue with that.
It's alliteration, yeah.
Yeah, alliteration is fun. Savitri Skarzam. This is a human, even though the art is not...
Yeah, it's like a naked lady riding a seahorse.
That's kind of cool. A seahorse like serpent thing.
A sea serpent, yeah.
And it's a 7 mana 6/4. Would you like to read the flavor text?
Even the brave have cause to tremble at the sight of Savitri Skarzam. Who else has tamed Skarzam's dragon?
I guess it's a dragon.
How could you tame her dragon? Like, nobody else can do that because it's hers.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no other Skarzam's dragon.
Bottom of F tier.
Yeah.
It doesn't tap for mana like the other guys do. Skeleton Ship based. Skeleton Ship is a 5 mana 0/3 skeleton. When you control no islands, sacrifice skeleton ship. And has tap, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature.
So we were looking at a EDH track before doing this. And good God, why are there so many skeleton ship decks?
There's more skeleton ship decks than there are Dragonlord Silumgar decks, I believe. Or was that something else?
I think that was the case. We might be a little bit wrong, but it was... skeleton ship was like a contender on the site. Like, it wasn't like right at the bottom. And like, I get it. It's the meme like, oh, this is my skeleton tribal commander. Or like, this is my ship commander. This is my theme deck.
But
it's like...
It's not... This doesn't do anything.
Learn to love yourself.
I'm putting it above the Ghost of Ramirez DePietro.
Put it above Etrata.
Because it puts a -1/-1 counter, which is better than killing it with Etrata, I guess. Or exiling it, because it's...
Yeah.
For the memes. Okay. Boom. Sig River Cutthroat. 2 mana, Dimir Hybrid for a 1/3. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn, you may draw a card.
Don't you hate those guys with the Sig River Cutthroat decks?
Yeah, I really hate them. Exactly.
God damn it.
Sig. Just pack up your stuff, bro, and leave, right? Take your deck, put it on Card Kingdom or something because you're trash. You're done.
Fucking Sig River Cutthroat. fucking A-tier looking piece of shit.
I think he is an A-tier.
That's just pretty... It's possibly being able to draw like 3 cards a turn cycle on your 2 mana commander.
For doing nothing. Maybe playing like one kind of like Punisher effect. Or just your opponent playing a fetch land
hitting
and shock.
each other. Yeah.
It's not that hard like for you to get this to happen. Like, oh, isn't there a what is it? There's a black and blue counterspell that like makes them lose 3 life or something, isn't there? Or is it 2 life?
Oh yeah, I think it is 3 life.
That's a funny one. So there you go.
Yeah.
Draw a card on your counterspell. Do you think it's better than Araumi or worse?
It might be better. It's definitely... I feel like it's less set up.
It's less set up than Araumi. It also doesn't pull you in a direction. You can just play anything you want.
Yeah, it's just like a good stuff card. Because that's just going to happen.
You might play like maybe kind of like the rack kind of stuff where you like take damage.
Well, think about it too. Like, how often do you see 2 mana commanders that draw you cards?
Not very often. They're really good.
Yeah.
It comes to mind Thrasios, right?
Yeah, not too much to say about Sig. Just very good. Mm-hmm. So next up we have Sadek, Lord of Secrets, the original Dimir Guildmaster. He's a 7 mana...
5/5. Yeah.
Yeah, 5/5 flyer. If he would deal combat damage to a player, instead put that many +1/+1 counters on him, and that player puts that many cards from the top of their library into their graveyard. Whoa, it's like the original Murkovosk.
Exactly.
Until they power crept Sadek and turned it into Murkovosk.
Turned into a 4/4. Or a 4 mana creature.
So how do you think this is right under Murkovosk?
Yeah, I might even put it lower because it's literally a 7 mana creature that does nothing. Okay, it's 7 mana. Then you have to like wait a turn and hit somebody. And what does it do? It mills 5, and then the next turn it mills 10.
Yeah. So do you know the card Necropolis Regent, Spencer? The 6 mana vampire that when your creatures hit somebody, they get that many +1/+1 counters.
Sure.
It's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
And this is like that, but except like you want to like hurt people, you want to get the damage, and he's like, no, I'll do you one better. We're gonna mill them instead.
I'm gonna mill one guy. I want to put it like way lower, like
yeah, that's fair.
Like
Ramses,
here.
Come on,
like
you gotta
here.
say that Ramses.
Like
better.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now we have, what is this? Tygam, Sidisi's Hand. I am a known Sidisi simp, so anyone that is going to respect Sidisi and work for her is going to be good in my book. But Tygam's a 5 mana 3/4 that says, skip your draw step. Oh, what wonderful text. Then it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest in the graveyard. And then you can pay a black and tap it, exile X cards from your graveyard, target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn.
Okay, so it takes away your draw step, but it kind of gives you a better draw step.
It gives you a better draw step. Yeah, it gives you a what is the Golgari creature that does that? Whenever you draw a card, you look top 3, put one in the graveyard. Do you remember talking about something or whatever?
Oh yeah, I played that card.
Whatever it's called.
It right now.
turns your draw step into a pseudo anticipate. The others go in the graveyard, I suppose, as opposed to anticipate. But and then it gives you removal on a stick, which is really nice. Every turn it fuels your graveyard for it, and you can pretty much kill a creature, or maybe not every turn.
And that's a cool thing. That's useful. That being said, I mean, if people want to keep their creatures around, they're probably going to have to
kill your commander,
kill your 5-mana commander, and then
you suck. It sucks
really bad because it also will have summoning sickness, and then,
and then won't do its thing right away.
So
it's kind of like it doesn't really draw any cards. It can give you selection, and it can put. I think it's okay, but I don't know how much I can fault a commander for being something that your opponents want to kill. Mm-hmm. Like, you can fault it a little bit, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, I think it's just very slow. Very fair.
I put it below the other stuff that draws cards, like these card draw cards, but I think it's a C tier.
Yeah, because it's not like getting you extra cards.
Yeah, it's getting you you're replacing your draw step with one of the things you want. How do you feel about here? Or do you think it's worse than Grimgrin and stuff?
I think it might be worse than Grimgrin.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worse than Eloise.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's better than these.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe just here. Yeah. That's fine too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Big boy.
The Scarab God. The menace of every commander table it's at.
Exactly.
5-mana 5/5. God. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. That doesn't matter. That's bullshit. Doesn't matter.
Kind of matters, because it makes zombies.
Yeah. 4 mana. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. And then, when the Scarab God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So,
sorry, I'm dying.
That's how you feel when you play against the Scarab God.
I think he just exiled me and made me a zombie.
He eternalizes you.
Yeah. Did you read the part at the end where when it dies, it comes back?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Scarab God is just a beast.
Mm-hmm.
So before going into what he does, he just has this ability of this cycle of these gods where if they die, you pretty much can just put them back in your hand. So no commander attacks ever, pretty much. I mean, I guess they can exile them, and
they can get exiled, but board wipes. I feel like a board wipe is usually the best way to deal with commanders.
Yeah,
and it really, and this is definitely he creates a big board from his ability. Oh my god, have you ever seen anyone play this with Training Grounds? It's obscene.
2 mana to make a 4/4 token copy of anything in a graveyard.
Yeah, and the thing about him too is he exiles anybody's creature. So are you playing good creatures? He's gonna exile them.
Yeah. Oh,
so. Don't think about So he's graveyard hate that gives you value, makes him a 4/4. Sometimes that's a pretty good thing because you could exile somebody's Wood Elves or something.
Yeah, or Eternal Witness or anything, right?
Yeah, and then like I said, the
probably
upkeep trigger.
Probably wouldn't want to do Wood Elves.
The upkeep trigger, I just say that doesn't matter because he could literally not have that, and I think I would still put him in S tier.
Yeah, and then the upkeep trigger. I mean, I don't value the scry really, but I mean. You can, if you have 2 guys, you can make your opponents lose a couple life. I mean, it adds up eventually, but it's not super important.
Yeah.
But it's just this 1-card army. I mean, it takes some mana, but the thing with the Scarab God, and this is the case in a limited game. I mean, if you in a game of limited, if you have a 6-card opening hand of 5 lands and the Scarab God, you don't need any other cards in your deck to win the game. And that's a fact. And I think you could honestly win a commander game with just lands and a Scarab God. It might be a little difficult, but you could do it. And that's not something you can say about many commanders.
Yeah, I just think the value's crazy. You just play a bunch of good enter the battlefield effects in your deck, and then you can loot them away, you can mill yourself, you can entomb them, and then Scarab God them back. And
yeah, no, Scarab God. I mean, the value of that is Scarab God pretty much says 4 mana, draw a card because you're taking a card from your graveyard and putting it into play, kind of, and then get a 4/4 version of whatever that card is with its ETB or whatever effect. So it's really good. It's really good. And, if your opponent, I mean, if it has flying or if it doesn't, your opponent can't really attack into you because you can just, make dudes and kill stuff. And you can even let Scarab God die and it just goes back to your hand.
Are you with me on the S tier,
I am.
Spencer?
I'm with you right here.
S for Scarab God.
S for Scarab God. I'm with you. Very powerful. Okay, now we have Toxrill, the Corrosive. Maybe Toxrill is why I was coughing a moment ago. Like, Jesus Christ. This guy's kind of the bane of
I
commander
salted
players.
Spencer.
No! It's a 7-mana 7/7. Slug Horror. At the beginning of each end step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 for each slime counter on them. Whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter dies, you get a 1/1 slug, and you can pay a 2-mana, a Dimir, a blue and a black, to sacrifice a creature and draw a card.
Specifically a slug.
Sorry, sacrifice a slug.
So obviously, this is a slug tribal.
Slug tribal, yeah.
No.
Don't put any slugs in your deck, please.
This is how I see people who play Toxrill as a slug tribal commander. I see them as the picture.
The
of
picture
Toxrill.
of Toxrill. Yeah, I'm with you.
just slug.
Just some horror monster
Get
without
away
a brain.
from me, you slug horror.
Yeah. No, but Toxrill is a little bit oppressive when it comes down, because if a Toxrill does not leave the battlefield, it pretty much over time says your opponents don't get to have creatures, which is kind of
it pretty much says within a turn cycle, all your opponent's creatures get -4/-4.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy, and then you get the slugs,
So you get
which you turn into cards.
or if not cards, you turn them into like mana with like an altar kind of effect, or like you drain people or something like that.
Yeah, it's just, that's so good. There's so much stuff going on here.
So Toxrill's obviously very good. I think that the 7 mana does actually hold it back a little bit.
Yeah,
it is very
It's
expensive.
a very strong ability. I remember watching the Commander Clash with this, and Krim, I think, was playing it, and somebody milled him at some point, or he like self-milled and milled. Do you know the card? I think it's Cormus Bell that turns all swamps into 1/1s. And then you play Urborg.
And then you play Toxrill.
And the other guys saw that he was doing that, and they were like, just, what the fuck, Krim? And then they just killed Toxrill like every time he played it, because
yeah.
But I think there was one rotation where it stayed out for a while, and it actually did end up like kind of like one-sided board wipe. So
yeah,
I think very strong bit. I want to say, like you said, it's 7 mana. I want to say A tier though.
I'm gonna say top of A tier. Is that, or maybe even here? Is that okay? I
think,
know it's a lot, but
I think that's fair. I mean, because like, yeah, it is expensive, but it's also like, it's the sort of thing like within blue black, like maybe your 7 mana commander does get killed, and you just let it go to the graveyard and reanimate it.
I want to maybe right here, maybe at top. Is that cool?
But if you are able to power out a Toxrill early, be it like
Urborg stuff or
like
mana
rituals
rocks.
or like fast mana,
or if your opponents just don't have removal, like sometimes they don't.
Yeah, like I just like creature decks. I just think can't crawl out from
You
under
just
that.
win immediately, kind of. Also, I just want to take a moment and say, Toxrill is not what Coma is. I know people will compare it to Coma because they both have like, oh, every upkeep or end step or whatever, we do a thing. But Coma protects Coma. Toxrill does not protect Toxrill.
Yeah.
So just wanted to say that for a moment.
You know, I do kind of like though is
What do you like?
if you have like extra mana the turn you play Toxrill or something, or if you have the 2 extra mana, like you could just, somebody goes to remove him, you sacrifice him to his own ability and draw a card.
That's cool.
So you're like actually up a card on the spot removal.
Yeah.
It's kinda
And it
neat.
does always unless they have like an instant speed removal the same turn, it will get the 1 -1 counter trigger. I guess it's not -1 counter since only when it's in play.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. If you play it back again, the creatures on the battlefield will keep those counters.
Mm-hmm.
The slug counters or whatever they're called. Slime counters, of course. Okay, well, you want to tell me about this next one, Eli?
Yeah, we got a Ukkima, Stalking Shadow, 3 mana 2/2 Whale Wolf, and it cannot be blocked. Now this is a partner with.
Did we
with
not
a green
include
creature.
these in the previous tier
I feel
list?
like we didn't include these in the other ones, so we probably won't talk about this that
Just
much.
very quickly, yeah.
But yeah, 3 mana 2/2 can't be blocked. When it leaves the battlefield, deals X damage to target player, and you gain X life where X is its power. So it's just kind of like an aggressive creature. I actually so together these are a bug color combination.
Yeah, with green. The other guy's green and black, or green and blue.
And they're both like kind of aggro. So I actually had the idea to make like maybe a Sultai deck that's aggressive, and the purpose is to hunt other Sultai decks.
Yeah, because Sultai is all about value and stuff a lot of the time. So if you make an aggressive Sultai deck, it's kind of like a meme. But this card's okay, right? Like, it's not bad.
Yeah, I don't know if I could see somebody just like building that by itself.
By itself, maybe like
a
D
like
tier or something,
yeah.
like here, maybe even lower.
Yeah, there's probably some cool stuff you can do with like flickering it or bouncing it back to your hand.
I'll put it there.
Yeah.
For now, without too much thought. Okay, Umbris, Fear Manifest. This is a weird one. It is a 5-mana 1/1, and it gets +1/+1 for each card your opponents own in exile. Whenever Umbris or another nightmare or horror enters the battlefield under your control, target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a land.
So this is another Mexile commander, like Circu.
Like as Josh Lequai would say. Do you think this deck is a nightmare/horror deck? Is that anything that exists? No?
I don't think so. I think maybe there's some good ones. Like, isn't that a...
Toxrill's a horror.
Yeah, there's some good horrors. What's that, that one when your opponent's, you play it in your Lazav deck that gets, like, power and toughness equal to the amount of cards in your opponent's graveyards.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. The 5-mana one, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called. It's so hard.
That's kind of a good one.
Yeah, you can play, but you're also exiling their stuff, so is that really... Oh, the Abomination, right? That's what you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Consuming Aberration, sorry, that's what it's called. I don't know, man, like... I'm pretty sure most horrors and nightmares aren't good, and then, like, I guess you can place... There's some other cards that synergize with exiling for your opponent's graveyard, or opponent's deck, sorry. I guess you can exile their graveyards with something like a Bajuka Bog, or... I guess there's a lot of effects that will exile all opponents' graveyards, right? That could be good.
I think maybe you just play like a Leyline of the Void type of deal, and then
you have like a...
mass exile everyone a lot, and this gets huge.
But then again, your commander just turns into a 5-mana 15/15 with no abilities. Is that good enough? No evasion or anything?
I don't know, man.
I don't think so.
Do you think this is like a D tier? Is that
I honestly do.
Is that too cruel?
I honestly do.
Maybe what about top of D tier?
I'm down with that. I don't think it's very good. I don't think like honestly, let me hear me out here. Would like 5-mana 10/10 vanilla, would that be like a really good commander? It might be. I mean, it's not like I haven't thought about this. It'd probably be pretty good.
I mean, we kind of...
This has to work to get there.
We big upped the Thromok the Insatiable because of the just giant commander thing, but
yeah.
I feel like that gets bigger than this.
I don't know. This takes effort.
So, you've heard of the Dragon.
Yeah.
What about the Drago? It's a 7-mana 4/4 with first strike. And creatures with Swamp Walk may be blocked as if they did not have this ability. So if you know somebody who's playing the card Filth with like Urborg and making all their creatures unblockable, you don't have to worry about it.
Putting it below Ramirez DePietro because he also has first strike. No, below the Mana Dorks, right? Not putting too much thought into that one. No flavor text. Lame.
Yep.
Now we have Vela, the Nightclad. It's a 6-mana 4/4 with Intimidate, which is a deprecated ability that no one cares about. It can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. So having more colors is a downside for Intimidate. So it can be blocked by artifact creatures, black creatures, and blue creatures. And it says other creatures you control of Intimidate. Okay, that's getting better, because you might have a mono black creature or maybe like a colorless creature, then it can't be blocked except by artifacts.
Pretty cool.
And then it says whenever Vela or another creature you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life.
So
it's an interesting thing for Dimir.
Friend of the show, Dana Roach.
Yeah.
He has a Vela the Nightclad artifact creature deck. So they effectively can't be blocked except by other artifact creatures.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
That ability of like whenever something leaves, each opponent loses 1 life is kind of actually a big deal. It's kind of like that that board wipe protection, not protection, but like if someone board wipes, you have like 6 creatures on the field. Like your opponents will all lose 7 life. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it pretty strongly disincentivizes people from board wiping you. Not that they won't do it, obviously, like having a board full of unblockable creatures, they're probably going to have to board wipe you.
Yeah, people play like Toxic Deluge, like they'll lose the 7 life, that's fine.
I think I kind of dig that, though, because it's like, it's an aggro deck that's like, yeah, you better board wipe me, but then also like having the kind of synergy with board wipes or getting board wiped.
Yeah, and you could play like the mass, you could play like mass bounce or mass blink or something, and you get the triggers off of it because it's when they leave, not when they die.
Yeah, I think I kind of like Vela. Do you think this is like a B tier commander?
It might be. I mean, it's pretty expensive, and it's a little slow. I mean, it does something when it comes out. Your creatures will get kind of unblockable-ish when it comes out, so that's something, but...
Yeah, like you just like build up your board until you play Vela, and then give your creatures Intimidate, and then...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit weird to put it here, but I'm with it. Sure.
Yeah. Now we have apparently the I think this is the second most popular Dimir commander on EDH Rec.
Surprised me.
Wilhelt the Rock Cleaver. He's a 4-mana, 3/3 zombie warrior. Whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed, which means it can't block, and when it attacks, you sacrifice it at the end of combat.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie if you do draw a card. So as a friend of the show, Joey Schultz, would say, he nom-noms your zom-zoms. God, I fucking hate that.
Yeah. Wilhelt is... Wait, what's going on in his art? I'm sorry. Why is he...
I just want people to know, if you ever said that to me in person, I'm just going to stare at you for like a good few seconds.
Until you feel awkward.
Like with a blank face.
Wilhelt's pretty good. I'm that's where I'm on it.
Good.
He's pretty good. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about him. He's pretty new. Haven't seen much about it.
It's a lot of value.
It is a lot of value. This thing. So how I'm trying to compare it to these other cards that generate value, it doesn't. So like for example, what is this guy? Anowon, or is that what this is called?
Yeah,
Anowon. 4-mana creature. Will probably draw you a card if you have a rogue that has like evasion and hits somebody, right? Will draw you a card when you play it on turn 4. Wilhelt, you're going to play it on turn 4, and then on your end step, you're going to sacrifice one of your shitty zombies and draw a card, probably, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of something like that. I mean, I guess this does have some pretty good synergy with like sacrifice outlets, so you can do like aristocrat stuff or like altars to make a bunch of mana. Each creature turns into double the mana from altars.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good. I feel like this is a better zombie commander than Gisa and Geralf.
I think that's right. Do you think it's better? Like, do you think it's like an A tier?
I don't think, because I think it's still a
zombie commander, right?
It's still zombie tribal.
How do you feel about it compared to Gyruda?
I think Gyruda is a little stronger because I've seen. I think the ceiling's a little higher with Gyruda.
Okay.
But I think as far as tribal commanders go, I mean, it draws you cards, it gives you bodies.
I'm sure.
Pretty good stuff.
I mean, guys, I know there's infinite combos. Yes, I get it. If you play a Gravecrawler, you can sack it to Phyrexian Altar and keep playing the Gravecrawler and make a bunch of mana. I get that, okay?
Yeah, we get that Gravecrawler is
infinite
pretty
mana with
card.
a million cards. I get that. Okay. I think this is Rexiel, right?
Yep. Yeah, Rexiel, the Risen Deep.
6 mana for a 5/8 with Island Walk and Swamp Walk. Tell me when you've heard that before. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast an instant or sorcery from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put into the graveyard, exile it instead. So, I don't know how to feel about Rexiel. Like, it's a 6-drop that has to hit somebody. So that has the downside of being slow, right? But you can get some pretty good value off that if you hit somebody.
Get something pretty cool, but do you feel like there's maybe games where you just don't have anything good you can steal?
Yes.
Like maybe a Cultivate. I mean, people are going to play removal. That's kind of a thing, but
yeah, for
6 mana and then having to wait.
It can't be blocked if they have a swamp or an island, so you probably hit somebody.
Yeah, you should be able to hit somebody.
But like, you want to be able to hit whoever you want, right? Yeah. So I guess you need to play like an Urborg to make it so you can attack anybody.
I feel like the Island Walk is especially nice because you're probably getting the best spells from a blue player.
Unless
like,
they just played like counter spells so far.
But do you also feel like maybe people don't play they don't let that happen if they have really good stuff, right?
If you have a Rexiel out to attack next turn, you don't just like slam your big spell, right?
Yeah.
Unless you can do something about it. I don't think it's that good. I want to say C or a D tier.
I'm thinking like D tier maybe, because I just think if they have something good, they're not going to let it happen.
I think it's better than Umbril or whatever.
Yeah.
Top of D tier, boom. We just keep putting cards in the top of D tier.
All right, next we have Widewind, the Biting Gale. 4 mana, 3/3 Fairy Wizard, Flash Flying. Pay Dimir and 1 life. Return it to its owner's hand.
I'm gonna go F.
Yeah.
I know it's a 4 mana 3/3 Flash Flying. Very cool.
This is a limited bomb.
I don't care though. It doesn't do But guys, you can return it to your hand and it combos with stuff. Okay, cool. Thank you. I just don't want to talk about it. It's not good. Thank you for listening. And there's better fairy commanders if that's what you're looking for. Xanathar, Guild Kingpin. This is a cool one, I think.
Yeah.
It's a 6 mana 5/6 Beholder. And it says at the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. Until the end of that player's turn, until the end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of that player's library at any time, and you may play the top card of their library, and you can spend mana of any color, or mana of any color to cast spells. So you can play their lands off the top, you can cast their spells off the top. And they can't cast spells this turn. That's pretty cool, honestly. It's you can do a lot of interesting things with it, I like, because you get, access to things that aren't in your color pie or color pool or whatever. And it can potentially get you multiple cards of value every turn.
You keep getting a bunch of cards if you don't hit double lands, right?
Yeah, even if you hit one, if you worst case scenario, you hit double land, right? Or some giant spell that you can't cast, but that's one card at least. Mm-hmm. I know you probably want more from your 6 mana commander than to draw 1 card every turn, but I don't know. Well, most of the time you're probably hitting some spells you maybe might cast or something. It's kind of cool. I like it. I think the Beholder is good. What do you think?
Yeah, seems like good value. That being said, it's an upkeep trigger.
On a 6-drop?
You thinking maybe a B tier on this one?
I do. I actually kind of do. I know it's... I don't know why I put this above these 4-drops and 5-drops and stuff, but it just feels better to me. Mm-hmm. I want to put it above Vela, honestly.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool. Maybe even above Silumgar. How does that make you feel?
That's just fine, yeah.
Okay.
All right, up next we have my arch nemesis, Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow. She's a 3 mana 1/3 human ninja, but she's not really 3 mana.
She's not 3 mana.
That's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
She has Commander Ninjutsu. So what's Commander Ninjutsu?
I never heard of that before.
That's probably like ninjutsu, right? So it's 2 mana, return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand or the command zone, tapped and attacking. And then whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's converted mana cost. So it's it's a ninja tribal commander, right?
Ninja tribal, woo!
No, it's not. That's a lie. That's also a lie. This is a...
Big stuff. Tribal.
This is the face of lies right here. So Commander Ninjutsu. So you might think so from the command zone stuff, there's command tax on that, right? No.
No command tax.
There's no such thing as commander tax.
She will always cost 2 mana to put her into play, no matter how long the game goes, no matter how many times she dies.
And like it says, whenever a ninja deals combat damage to a player, so you want to have more ninjas, right? You don't need them. This is about quality over quantity. Because you're just playing a bunch of big shit, a bunch of extra turns.
Yeah. Maybe you play a couple of the really low mana cost ninjas that have evasion. There's the black changeling creature for 1 mana that has an unblockable. It's best friends with Yuriko.
So the play pattern is play 1 mana fly creatures or unblockable creatures, and then turn 2 Yuriko.
And everyone takes 13.
And you draw a card.
Yeah. Very fun. The thing about Yuriko that I really don't like, personally, this is a personal gameplay thing. Cards like Yuriko put a clock on the game, depending on how good of a start the Yuriko player has. And I don't mean no matter what you're doing, no matter what's happening, all the other opponents of that Yuriko player are going to start taking damage. And a lot of it, if the game's going well for the Yuriko player. And the game just straight up ends pretty quickly for almost nothing that they're doing. They hit with 2/1/1s, you take, 15 damage. Everyone takes 15. They play next turn, and then the game's over.
So, one of the things you hear a lot in Commander is you should just play more removal. I want every person who thinks that's like always the end-all argument to play against Yuriko. Because you really you can't commander tax it out of the game.
Do you want to know the funniest thing about Yuriko is, let's say you have two evasive, like 1 or 2 mana creatures attacking, and you commander ninjutsu one of them and put Yuriko into play, right? Mm-hmm. And your opponent plays a removal spell on Yuriko. You can then put it into play again before damage using the other creature you have, if you have the mana to do so. 4 mana total. That's really funny and kind of epic.
So this is going to maybe come across a little harsh and like maybe possibly in bad faith, because we can't know what people are thinking, but one of the things that always frustrates me with like Commander product design or like designing new cards specifically for Commander is when you get the impression that Commander design team, you feel like they were trying to do a certain thing, and it just feels like they completely failed at what they were trying to do. Like in this case, it feels like they were trying to give people a Ninja Tribal Commander.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, the newer version of this
also doesn't do that.
And they just did something entirely different instead and way too powerful.
Yeah.
Because this card does not incentivize you to play Ninja Tribal.
You just play 1/1 flyers for 1, maybe a conspiracy and make them all ninjas, and then I don't know, and then like all of the spells that are like, you know, the double the 2 spells like 1 on each half that add up their total mana value to be like 13 or something, or like
it's just really frustrating when it
spells.
feels like they're trying to design a card specifically to be fun for Commander, and they just completely do the opposite. Like, what's the card? Aeon Engine that like changes the turn order.
It's like, no, this is not fun at all.
Like that feels frustrating because I feel like, and like I'm not, maybe the intention was to make just a really strong busted Commander that everyone hates, or like something for more powerful tables, but I feel like that should not be the design process for Commander cards.
Personally, I think I agree.
Like, I don't think you should design Commander cards that are meant specifically for high power or like even competitive Commander.
Yeah. So, to put a pin on it, I think it's an S tier Commander.
Top of S tier.
I think it's either below or above Satoru, and I'll say we can go with that. I don't mind that.
I think it's above because at least like you can deal with the other two.
Yeah.
Like I really just don't think you like I get that you can kill all their other creatures, like kill all their 1 mana 1/1s with evasion so that they can't ninjutsu it in, or you can put like a Song of the Dryads on it. I know you can do stuff like there's stuff you can do.
You can play Nevermore, guys. But that doesn't work on it. Sorry, that doesn't.
That doesn't even work because
it's an ability.
But having to like those cards be your only option, or the idea of that you have to like use removal or like stop their like block their 1/1s, like I just can't see that as like a reasonable response. Like, oh, just remove their 1 mana 1/1. Like, what kind of game are you playing?
The other problem with Yuriko is that the game plan starts from turn 1, right? Like their game plan is very simple. It's turn 1, play one of my 15 1-drops, maybe, you know, multiple if you have some other way to do so, like an Ornithopter or something, and then turn 2, put Yuriko into play. Like there's no time for an average deck to deal with it, right?
Yeah, and then the rest of the deck is extra turns and probably a lot of free counter spells.
Those are expensive mana costs. You can play like the top deck manipulation stuff. Because if you play Brainstorm is actually good in this deck because like you draw your expensive spells, you put them back into play.
Well, yeah, and like we were saying about like Sig being like a 2 mana card that draws you cards. You're drawing cards from turn 2 with Yuriko and also damaging your opponents. Like it's
a lot. And like you get to play like a bunch of delve spells because, you know, I don't know, man. You get to play like fetch lands and delve spells and your maybe cantrips or something if you want. Probably.
I just hate it so much. I think Commander Ninjutsu is like, you know how most people feel about Eminence.
Yeah,
Commander
that's
Spencer?
how you feel about Commander Ninjutsu.
That's how I feel about it's like Eminence to me. That's how I feel about Commander Ninjutsu.
I think it's worse than most of the Eminence abilities.
Yeah, I mean she's
like better, but not worse. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess Edgar's up there, but I feel like she's just stronger than all of them.
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, that's enough. That's a rant.
And then we have one more card left, guys. And this is a 5 mana, or Zareth, San, or Sun, the Trickster. A 5 mana 4/4 with Flash. 4 mana. Return an unblocked attacking...
Just reminded me of Yuriko.
4 mana. Return an unblocked attacking rogue you control to its owner's hand. Put Zareth-san, the trickster, from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Did you notice something there, Eli? Do you notice the part where it said, from your hand?
He's like a fucking ninja.
Yeah. And it says, when Zareth-san deals combat damage to a player, you may put target permanent card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So that ninjutsu-esque thing for rogues kind of doesn't matter unless you can put the card back into your hand from the field or something. And it's pretty much just like a 4/4 flash that when it hits somebody, you get to reanimate one of their creatures.
A permanent card.
Sorry, a
from
permanent.
The graveyard. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like it's not like it's a bad card. It just really frustrates me that I don't know. It doesn't frustrate me. It's just not like a commander intended card, right?
Well, I feel like he could even be okay.
He's not bad
if he didn't have that ability.
Yeah, but the fact that he has it kind of makes me frustrated.
Like you just flash him in and then maybe hit somebody, like play some evasion or something, and you get to reanimate one of their permanents.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of neat. I mean, I don't think you see a ton of stuff in blue-black that lets you like steal somebody's permanent from their graveyard.
It does not have evasion, which is probably
that's the part that gets it.
If there's something really important in their graveyard that is going to like ruin the game, if you get it out, they're going to chump block with something probably.
Yeah, I guess maybe you could do something like
play
some way to bounce him back to your hand, and then you use his ability.
But then you're playing
like
rogues.
A creature that
has to be a rogue.
Yeah,
and rogues suck.
So yeah, not an amazing. Maybe like how do you feel about like C tier?
I think like maybe like here, below, like right there. How does it make you feel?
That feels just fine. That feels just right.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our tier list. Let's make some observations really quickly. Surprisingly few. I mean, I think most of our tier lists have had about 3 S tier commanders, but very few A tier commanders, and a very heavy in C and D for Dimir right now.
Yeah.
And even some of the worst B tier commanders I think are kind of bad. Like, and even like a lot of the B tier commanders are kind of bad actually. Like they're like really like this chunk of 9 is like the good cards I feel.
Yeah.
So that's not a good sign for Dimir as a commander. You know, I mean, that being said, there are good cards in Dimir. This is just like the commanders, right?
Oh yeah, very strong colors, obviously. Like, but when you think of like
the broken stuff,
really strong commander decks, like do you think of like Dimir really?
Usually
it's weird,
not.
like because you think Sultai.
You think Sultai. You think Simic.
Yeah.
You think mono blue and you think mono black, but you don't think Dimir.
But I think it's really like, aside from these commanders, like you see a Dimir deck and you think maybe, well, unless it's Yuriko or freaking Sig, Cutthroat, piece of shit. You don't think like, man, that's like, you don't see somebody's
you think
Vela deck and be like, oh my god.
You think maybe they're gonna reanimate some stuff, maybe some counter spells and board wipes. That's what you think. Maybe some card draw. So I don't know, man. Do you want to maybe? I don't think we really need to move anything around.
It's interesting that Dimir just kind of ended up being this weird like big stuff commander.
Oh yeah, the most recent ones that came out, and so these are both big stuff creatures. This is a big stuff commander. Toxril's is big. Araumi's big stuff. Gyruda's big stuff. What was this guy's name? Runo is big stuff. There's a lot of big stuff here. That's surprising. You wouldn't have expected that, right?
Yeah, it's kind of it's mostly a recent thing too, it feels like.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, it sort of makes sense because, I mean, even though it's the opposite side of the, we like Boros, and it's kind of like the opposite side of the coin, like Dimir is the opposite of Boros, right?
Yeah.
It has the same deal with rummaging and recursion. You get looting from blue,
and then reanimation,
and crazy reanimation from black. Yeah. So you can do a similar deal.
It's kind of
make
funny.
Big stuff work actually really well. So I'm thinking I might actually make a Runo deck at some point. It's good.
It's fair generally.
I think it's good enough colors that it doesn't really need to have like these busted commanders like you see in a lot of other color combinations.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you can make some really fun like medium to kind of highish power decks.
I think outside of these top commanders, Dimir decks live and die by the 99, not as much the commander.
Yeah.
Versus other commanders, or other colors, which maybe are more important, maybe focus on the commanders. Like you play a Lazav deck or something, or whatever, and it's like, or this girl who I can't remember her name, Eloise. You're gonna kill people with your deck, not with the commander, and it's not gonna. It's just gonna be a little bit of value, or maybe it turns into something.
Yeah, surprising amount of tribal synergies too within Dimir, between zombies, and you got the rogues, dragon tribal.
You can play pirate tribal with Mr.
Yeah, skeleton
Ramirez,
tribal with
skeleton tribal, slug tribal,
flash tribal,
ninja tribal. No, you don't play that. But yeah, that's that was a fun tier list. I've played some Dimir in the past, but I'm also in the process of building a Dimir deck right now. Unfortunately, it is a partner deck, so it cannot be rated. But I think it is, the partner pairing of Malcolm and the Black and Tevish Zot. And I think if I were to put those two together, and I were to put that on a tier list, that'd be like an A tier or something.
Yeah.
This seems really good.
I mean, yeah, I think I kind of like Dimir. I mean, I play an Esper deck, and there's
mostly Dimir cards.
There's a lot of good Dimir cards in that, so.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about all we have.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I don't know if we introduced ourselves at the beginning, but yeah, I've been Elijah Samuelson.
And I'm Spencer Cook.
And yeah, if you guys can please like the video, comment, let us know what you thought about it. Give us a subscribe.
And if you do, I'll let out Murph, who's chained up in my basement.
Murph.
Yeah.
What a rascal. Always trying to get out of there.
Yeah, but we've got we've got the Golgari one left to do. We've got Rakdos, and we have Simic as I think those are the only ones we have left.
Saving the best for last.
Exactly.
But yeah, also follow us on Twitter. We might actually we got to think up some cool polls to do on Twitter, because that's the hot and happening thing.
That's how you get people to click buttons. People like clicking buttons, right?
We got to also say something like how we wish there were more win conditions in Commander, because apparently that's a popular thing.
Murph. All right, well...
we took away his phone down there.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks for watching, guys.